Thank you so much. I am honored to participate in this meeting. Democracy maybe is the best and the most important innovation of humankind. It was introduced to history in the Asian region. Democracy stands for a set of values based on the rule of law and fundamental human rights. However, the world has come to a different point. Today, democracy's view of life has to change and gain a new perspective. This change is only possible by developing a new horizon for democracy, which includes nature. Humanity shall not act as a power that has superiority over other species. It has no right to dominate the ecosystem. Humans only coexist with all living species in nature. For this, to rethink the fundamentals of human rights, together with the rights of the nature, the rights of trees, lakes, plains, forests, rivers. They collectively generate our common right to live. In fact, the essence of nature rights is already in the spirit of democracy. But now we need to say louder. Human rights alone are not enough. The fight against the climate crisis is not an issue that can be handled with populism. We have to describe the rights of nature in a way that it embraces all struggles for rights, including the climate crisis. Dear legislators, I see culture as a mortar that binds the building together, or the drops of water that connect the roots and branches of a tree. Whatever we do in our lives, be it science, arts, sports, or politics, it doesn't matter. Culture is present in all of them. Culture is the mortar that holds it all together, the sap of life. If it oozes away even a little bit, the harmony of life distorts. Life ceases to be a whole. It disintegrates into its individual parts. Obviously, we cannot build a sustainable future for our planet without developing a culture in harmony with nature. Therefore, like everything else, the fight against the climate crisis needs a cultural foundation, a circular culture. In this respect, the Izmir Declaration, the main output of UCLG Culture Summit, is a milestone explaining circular culture as a powerful paradigm that can shape the future of humanity. Circular culture rises on 4 pillars: harmony without nature, harmony with the past, harmony with each other, and not last but least, harmony with change. Humanity, the inventor of art, philosophy, economy, inspired by the universe, and came to a moment when it broke all ties with nature. By doing so, we failed to develop cultural principles that embrace nature as a whole. From here, the climate crisis was born. On our planet, a species becomes extinct almost every 10 minutes. For this reason, one pillar of circular culture is based on harmony with our nature. There is no science without culture. If so, it creates an atomic bomb, a thermal power plant. There is no economy without culture. If so, there is hunger, there is inequality, there is the climate crisis. There is no politics without culture. If so, there are wars, there is destruction. There is no urbanism without culture. If so, there are floods, disasters. I hope that COP26 will produce decisions that will cover the concept of circular culture and its principles, which is much needed in the fight against the climate crisis. Dear legislators, humanity is at an important crossroads. Let's be realistic about where we are 75 years after the birth of the United Nations, 50 years after the Stockholm Environment and Vancouver Habitat, 30 years after the Earth Summit, and even 5 years after the Paris Agreement. Our solutions were incremental, while challenges escalated exponentially. And the past 2 years of COVID-19 pandemic reminded us at least one clear stark. The power and potential of urban world of 21st century can help our nations to tackle global challenges if they embrace multi-level cooperation. Indeed, 5 years ago, the Paris Agreement opened a new era in global climate action by recognizing the importance of engagement of all levels of government. Here in Glasgow, it is now time to turn this into practice. Since 2015, only around 80 of roughly 200 nations have increased their national climate ambitions. United States and Rwanda, Japan and Dominican Republic are some of these, and they all have one thing in common. Their national climate ambitions were increased because they worked closely with their local governments. It is now clear more than ever, in our urban world of 21st century, multi-level collaboration underpinned by a circular culture is one of the few, if not the only, inspiration of hope to respond to the age of climate emergency. In this second phase of the Paris Agreement, the nations of the world must embrace multi-level collaboration as the new normal. And Glasgow, the birthplace of industrial revolution, must be recognized as the place where a new generation of transformative climate action has started. Here in Glasgow, the first days of COP26, for the first time, coincide with the 31st October, the World Cities Day, opening not just a 12 days conference, but a new era of time for multi-level action. That is why ICLEI and the Scottish Government have convened the Multi-Level Action Pavilion at the heart of COP26 Blue Zone as the home for cities, towns and regions in the UNFCCC negotiations. The next phase of multi-level collaboration must bridge nationally determined contributions with local and regional climate strategies. Moreover, more resources have to be mobilized for municipalities that have declared climate emergency and committed to ambitious climate action through Race to Zero and Race to Resilient initiatives of the UNFCCC. This era of multi-level action can only be durable if it is fully embraced and developed with the lawmakers and other members of legislative bodies at the local, subnational and national level. Such collaborative efforts between legislative and executive bodies can ensure that these transformative visions can be sustained through long-term political consensus. Thus is why, in its capacity as the focal point of local government and municipal authorities constituency to the UNFCCC since 1995, ICLEI warmly welcomes and supports the new initiatives of the Globe International. I'm confident that the collaboration between ICLEI and the Globe International on multi-level climate action can introduce a huge momentum for ambitious action at all levels in this second phase of the Paris Agreement. As humanity searches for life's new sentences in Glasgow, I would like to ask, will we listen to the voice of our conscience? Or will we be overwhelmed by the insatiable ambition of a small group of individuals? Here in Glasgow, we will hear the answer. Meanwhile, I seem to hear the answers of thousands of people raising the voice of their conscience indoors and outdoors, in meeting rooms and squares. I know that the same voice is shouted by billions of people in cities and in the furthest reaches of the planet, and by the magnificent biodiversity in forests, rivers, mountains, and seas. I see that young people want to hear from us the words of our conscience, not our ambitions. I would like to thank Globe International wholeheartedly for inviting me to participate in this important meeting. I clearly know that all of us here are ready to express the words of our conscience towards multi-level collaboration to make our world a much better planet to live. I greet you all with affection and thank you for your attention.